tell you a couple things before we get started. My name is Michelle Paradise. Some of you I've met before, and I'm sorry you're going to have to listen to this again, Felix, and Paul, and Osama, and I know Elaine hasn't. Oh yes, Elaine, you have heard this before. Some of you I've met before, and some of you I haven't. But I think it's really important when a presenter, first tip, when a presenter stands on stage or stands in front of you, that you do not presume, the presenter does not presume that the audience knows who you are. And I work with a lot of wedding people, people that make speeches for weddings. And one of the first things I tell them to do is when you stand up, you say, "Hi, my name is," and I'm the father of the bride. Because guess what? Not everybody at the wedding knows who you are, do they? Have you ever been the date of somebody at a wedding or the partner of somebody at a wedding? And you're like, who's that? And how do you know the bride? And how do you know the groom? You know, same thing in a business situation. Not everybody knows who you are. And I want to just explain right now, because some people may look at me and think, this woman isn't really a businesswoman. You're right, I'm not. I'm not from the corporate world. I'm from the fashion creative world, all of that. But presentation skills are presentation skills. It's not, you don't learn different things for presenting in a corporate environment that you do in a creative environment. Because a good presenter is a good presenter. It's down to how you present and the skills that you have to do that. And that's why I'm here today, because I don't have to have a big corporate background to teach you how to present, right? Has anybody heard of Albert Moravian? Yep. Okay. He is a psychologist, and he studied human communication, and he did a lot of work on studying it, surveying it, and all that. And this is one man's opinion, based on survey and all that, but I pretty much agree with this, which is why I'm bringing it to you today. And it's called verbal, vocal, visual. And he's done a pie chart, which I've copied for you. And this is what he believes, that when you are presenting, 55% of what you are presenting is being conveyed to your audience through your body language and what you're doing with your body, okay? 38% is your tone of voice, how you change your voice. Maybe you start talking very softly, and your audience has to lean in a bit because you're telling them something that requires you to talk. Maybe you're doing a bit of hypnosis, covertly, of course, and you're getting them into a really relaxed state, yeah? But then you've got something really exciting to tell them, and you raise your voice. And then there's the pause. Such an important part of communicating with people, the pause. Very underrated, okay? Pause gives us gravitas when we're talking. And it also creates it's sort of people wanting to know a little bit more. They're kind of hanging on your words. What is she or he going to say next? There's this big pause. So something important must be coming, yeah? Do you ever feel that when people are talking to you? You can't just keep your voice shouting at people. I mean, that's what I find amazing about Tony Robbins, that he still has a voice at the end of his presentations, because he really does give it a lot of welly when he talks. But I think he does a lot of voice training exercises and a lot of diaphragmatic breathing, which is really, really important. And we're going to do that in a bit. But the thing is that pausing is a really great way to slow yourself down and maybe to gather your thoughts and come back from I forgot my words land or no words land or whatever we want to call it. We don't go there, yeah? And it re-engages your audience. Are you feeling different the way I'm talking to you? I don't know. Are you feeling like some of you might want to fall asleep because I have a very hypnotic voice? Or maybe we're going to jump up now. We're going to do something really exciting, yeah? Okay. So that's, you play with your voice. And that's tone of voice, depth of voice, not in the way you were saying it, but, you know, the power of the voice and the playfulness of the voice. Voice you can do so much with. And then, this is what I find interesting, words, 7%. Now, some of you, I know, you were probably, I don't know, maybe you were surprised when I said I'm not dealing with content. I think content of what you're saying is the least important thing. I really do. I think that if you know your subject, well, you must know your subject, or you shouldn't be standing in front of me, or anybody else. and you're passionate about your subject, and that is really, really important that you are passionate about your subject. That will come across. And you could be able to talk about chocolate chip cookies for the next 5 minutes and make it sound interesting. I love chocolate chip cookies. You know, because I'm American, I like those really soft and chewy ones, and I know you guys here have those really hard and brittle ones, yada, 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 yeah? But I could talk about it if I really wanted to. And I could probably engage you, so much so that you couldn't wait to go out and buy a chocolate chip cookie, yeah? That's the plan. So words really aren't that important. It's everything else that you do. And that's, again, what we're going to work on today. And as we're talking about 7, it brings me very nicely to something that I sometimes do at the top of my presentations, but because some of you know me, and I came out and introduced myself, it really wouldn't have worked. But I come on stage, I think Elaine saw me do this, I count to 7. It's 1, 2, I stand, and I count to 7 seconds. And then I say, okay, what do you think about me? What do you mean, what do you think about me? Because unconsciously, it takes us about 7 seconds to get a feeling about someone. And we may not want to admit that. We may not want to think that we're judgmental, which it is, there's an element of being judgmental there. But we get a very strong feeling about somebody in the first 7 seconds. And that's why I said to Osama, if you really want to get them excited, it's better to come in excited and not hope that you can get them into an excited state, okay? Because it may not work. They may have already decided about you in the first 7 seconds when you're just standing there talking quietly to them, and they're not feeling very excited, and you may lose them. You can get them back, but that takes a bit more work. So I will say this again and again and again, go there first. If that's whatever feeling you want to create in your audience, you've got to walk on that stage. From the moment you walk on that stage, you've got to be in that zone and projecting that to them. Yeah? Okay? Does everybody understand this? You don't have to agree with it, but it's quite an interesting idea that much of what people process about us is how we move, stand, look. And you met my able-bodied assistant who just disappeared, Natasha Thorley, who's also a trainer. And you didn't know about this, and this is really exciting, because she's going to come up and do something later about how you look and how people interpret how you look, okay? Because whether we want to admit it or not, people look at us and get a feeling about us and start deciding who we are, what we are, before we've even opened our mouths, yeah? And it's not fair, but hey, life isn't. It really isn't. So I think it's really important that someone like Natasha tell you about that, because that's her background, that's her job, because it'll give you an advantage of knowing how to look, how to get yourself together, so that you capture those first 7 seconds being the best possible version of yourself that you can be. And when people say to me, I want to learn how to own the room, you've got 7 seconds to own that room. That's it. You'll love this. I'll see the squirming in a minute. When you get up to present, I'm also going to ask for feedback from the audience, guys, okay? And it's going to be constructive, all right? Let's not tear each other up, okay? We're going to be very constructive. But remember that every person has their own map of the world and their own perception, right? So it's slightly imbalanced, and it might be coming from a place of their own fear or their own loathing of something. It's not genuine 100% great feedback for you. But I think it's important as we have an audience to utilize the audience, okay? The best feedback is to watch yourself doing it and say, I had no idea. I remember working with somebody and they rocked. It's hard to do in high heels. He had flat shoes on and he rocked. When he talked, he rocked. And I said, you're really good, but you're rocking. No, I'm not. I'm not rocking. And it was such an unconscious behavior that when I filmed him and showed it to him, he was like, oh my God, I rock. I rock. Yes. Yeah. And he didn't believe me because he didn't feel it. He didn't, even when he did it again, he was like, I'm not rocking. What he did, actually, he became a little more conscious of it and toned it down, but he was still rocking. I was getting seasick just watching this guy talk. Can you imagine if you're sitting there for an hour listening to somebody talking and they're going like this? It's making me feel sick just doing it. So the best feedback is to see yourself doing it, and that's why I film people. Because I always say, if you're making any kind of speech, get a camera and film yourself. I'm going to talk about that later as well. Borrow one if you don't have one. I'm not saying go out and spend lots of money, but you will not regret it. It is the best feedback that you can get. And I work with a lot of people that say, I hate having my picture taken. And they're about to get married, okay? And they're the center of attention in a big white dress. Now, how does that work? I hate having my picture taken. But you know what they do? You show them a picture of themselves. Oh God, no, I'm not photogenic at all. They don't ever really engage with what they look like and what they're doing in the picture to know how to do it better. So how are you going to know? And that's why I'm doing it at the very beginning, in the middle, and at the end. So you're going to have a reference of what you looked like at the beginning, how you were doing in the middle, and where you got to in the end, and how much progress you made. And that's better than anything else I can give you. Somebody mentioned comfort zone, okay? And I have this other theory. This is what, well, it's nothing really profound, but it's another circle. And very simply, this is your comfort zone. I'll move out of the way so you all can see those words, not like you need to. And this is where you are, right, before you got here today. And this is the edge of your comfort zone, okay? And this is where the change begins, okay? Change does not happen in here, okay? And Alina is the perfect example of this. She really challenged her comfort zone because this involved filming, the dreaded filming. Oh my God, I'm going to have to look at myself and other people are going to have to look at me. And that was a real challenge for her, but she broke through that. And then she will change. You'll never change in here. You'll just be doing the same thing over and over and over again. So congratulate yourselves for leaving your comfort zone and coming here today and tomorrow, because you will change. Right, I think everybody needs a glass of water, yeah? But you're not just getting a glass of water. We're going to do a little exercise. So put your pads down, okay? I'll explain the exercise. I'm going to pair you up, so I want you to be with somebody you don't know at all, okay? So obviously the two of you can't be together, okay?
There's an odd number at the moment. So
oh, there is an odd number. So Natasha will make up the odd number, okay? Thank you, Natasha.
Okay.
So you need to pair up in twos, so pick a partner. Stand up, pick a partner. And if you don't pick a partner, I'll pick one for you. You don't have to like the person. Or, are you sure you two don't know each other? I'm a frustrated actress, really. I like role play. I think it's so much fun. So we're going to do a bit of acting, okay? We're having a networking party. Because guess what? Presentation skills begin down there, meeting people, okay? And if you can't engage with another person who's a total stranger to you, and that they still have a face, then it's going to be very difficult to multiply that and come up here, all right? So what we're going to do is this. You are going to have, you're going to be A, B, A, you're not with Neelam, no? Who are you with? You're with Amit. So, Amit, you're B. A, you're not anymore. B. I'm taking you out of your comfort zone, guys. Sorry. Dolores, you're A, and you're with Felix, B. Catherine, A. Lorraine, B. Elaine, A. Rosie, B. Hyrie, A, Mary, B, and Neelam, A, and Natasha, B. Okay? There's a reason for this. All the A's are going to have 7.5 minutes. You're going to come in, and you're going to go over there. You're going to literally come in the door, because we're going to do this in real time. You're going to grab yourself a drink, because that's usually what you get at a networking meeting or session. It could be coffee, whatever. And you're going to find your partner, and you have 7.5 minutes, not a second more, to garner as much information out of them as you possibly can, appropriate to the situation. I don't want to necessarily know how many kids they have, whether they're divorced or not. I want business information, okay? I'm not going to tell you what to ask for. I'm going to leave this entirely up to you, okay? I will then say, your 7.5 minutes are up, switch, and then you do the other thing. And I'll tell you the rest of it when we get to that point, because there's more. Okay? So everybody go out into the hallway, or the foyer, or whatever. The drinks are on the table over there. We're going to welcome you in. And remember who your partner is. Okay, your time Time starts now. You have 7.5 minutes to talk.
Hello everybody, my name is Paul. I've come here today to learn about presenting. I've just had a very interesting conversation with Osama here. Can you come up on stage, Osama? Thank you very much. Osama was telling me all about himself. The first thing I learned from Osama is he comes from Saudi Arabia. He comes over to England quite a bit. He has just bought an apartment here, I think, a property anyway, and intends basing himself here a lot more. He's also just been on a speed reading course in Cardiff, which is very interesting, and I'd like to learn a little bit more about that.
Hi, my name is Osama, and I'm here to learn about presentation skills. And I spent about 7 minutes with Paul, and I'd like to introduce him. And can you come up to the stage? Can we have a... Paul has several businesses, as far as I understood, and one of them is regarding marketing and sales. The other one is properties and timber building, which I didn't know anything about. And I was asking, what do you mean timber building? He said, you know, the stables for horses. And it's like, yeah. I was like, well, we built them. It's like, okay. So that made me understand that for a while. And he's also an NLP practitioner, as far as I understood. In March, he met Michelle, who encouraged him to come, and that's why he's here. And I'm lost for words, and so I'll end now. Thank you.
You went to the land of lost words. There's so many words in that place, aren't there? There's just all these words. Angie, you were with Amit. Yeah. Okay. Come on, guys. We're all going to do it, so you might as well just do it. Okay. I'll tell you when I'm ready to press record. Okay, you know what you're doing. Just to recap, it's not a lot about you, okay? Because we don't want to hear about you twice necessarily. Sorry. It's about really just saying who you are, introducing your B, and telling us as much about him or her as you possibly can. Okay? Okay. Let's go.
Morning, everyone. I met Amit earlier on, and I'd like to introduce Amit. Amit, please do come on stage. It's very interesting that I asked Amit, what do you do? And he said, I'm a plastic surgeon. And the first thing you think of a plastic surgeon is cosmetics. And then, of course, when it's cosmetics, you think of the obvious. I was quite surprised. Maybe I'm stereotyping, but that's what I thought. And then he said,
hi, my name is Catherine. I'm here today to introduce Lorraine. Lorraine lives and works in London. She works for an investment bank, the Deutsche Bank. And the bank's broken up into sort of 3 main areas. The traders are at the front, and she works in the support team for supporting the traders in the finance. It's not so much to do with all of the accounting side of things, but it's more to do with presenting reports and helping other companies understand what work that they do and what the quarterly results are.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me here. My name is Kyrie, and I'm here to introduce you to gorgeous Mary. Like to come up, please. I feel very privileged to have met Mary today, and I found out that she's a psychic, which I find very interesting. Yes. I think, what's she reading about me now? But she found out she was a psychic, and she's very much into, she reads cards, and she's very much into past lives, your past lives and your future lives. I didn't know that was such a thing. There was such a thing as future lives, apparently there is. But she's very much into that. At the moment she's not working, and something else I like about you, Mary, is that you're here, you don't know why you're here, but you feel there's a purpose to it. So you can see, you can't see where you're going, but you feel, you trust your path. So that's what she's doing at the moment. She feels like she's here. She doesn't know why she needs to learn to present, but she's here because she trusts that there's a path somewhere.
Initially, I'd like to know if anybody has any feedback for anybody else in the room, in the nicest possible way, of what they perhaps could do better or differently, or how they made you feel, or... Thank you.
I already told Mary this.
But please share with the rest of us.
She was going to tell us that she was nervous
Right.
at the beginning, and then she's going to tell us, well, she told me she was going to the hospital
Yeah,
afterwards.
yeah.
She said, I would never have known.
Yeah.
I would never have known. Yeah.
So what have we learned?
And I don't know. I could say, yeah, sometimes when you, I think maybe I do the same thing, don't share too much. Don't tell people I'm really nervous, or they won't
Good
know.
point.
Yeah.
It's a good point, because it brings me back to something we did this morning. I got you to write something down, I got you to verbalize it, right? Makes it more powerful when you verbalize something. And remember what I said to Mary when she was up here? I said, you get more what you focus on, and she was just focusing on her heart, and it was probably getting bigger and bigger and louder and pounding in her ears. So it's not a good idea to verbalize and talk about something that isn't serving you well. You've learned that now, right?
I know that, but it's just, when you're up there, it's like, ugh, I just want to run.
We didn't get that feeling once you got started, did we?
No, before.
Okay, that's okay. It's how it ends up that matters, right? So you now know that you'll never do that again, will you?
Well,
No.
I thought it was okay to do it here, because I thought,
That's fine.
you know.
But you're never going to start talking to yourself and saying, I'm really freaked out, my heart is beating so fast, I'm going to have a heart attack and die. And everybody's just going to be going, look at her, she's dead, right? I mean, Mary, are you running a film? Are you running a film? I know the answer already. You are running a film of how it's going to end up, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I know you are.
It's going to work out well.
Oh, it is now. But when the
It always
heart...
was, but when you're up there, it's like, phew, it's all the past programming.
We filter information through our five senses, right? So we have visual, auditory, kinesthetic, feelings, olfactory, and gustatory, or gustatory. Some people pronounce it different, but I'm American. Anyway, we don't rely so much on the smell and the taste one. Some people do, and some people have synesthesia, which is a completely different thing, where they get a little bit confused. You know, you can probably explain it to us really well, synesthesia, because you nodded there, yes? It's a medical term, isn't it? And it's about somebody sees a smell, or, yeah, it's quite an amazing thing, and I wish I had it, because it sounds quite wonderful. I'm sure it isn't for some people. Anyway, I digress. But people filter information from the world in through their senses, right? And we are not all one thing. You know, because some people say, when they start NLP, they go, I'm a visual person. No, you're not. You've got many layers to it, and in different situations, you will be different things. And you might go visual first, auditory second. So you might see something or make a picture of something first and then feel it. I'm a good speller, and I didn't understand why I was a good speller, but Dr. Bandler explained this to all of us one day. Good spellers see the word in front of them, and some of you will relate to this, and get a good feeling. And if the word is incorrect, they don't get the good feeling. Okay? And it's like that. It's like a nanosecond. It's a neurocortical pathway, a process that they've set up. So when I see a word, when I hear a word, I see it immediately. And it's big, right? Because you want it big. You don't want these tiny little letters that you can't see. And I get a good feeling, and then I'll spell it. And I know that that's, or I'll write it down. Okay? So that's, for me, how the spelling strategy works. And it seems to work for everybody that spells well. They've discovered this, and that's why they can help dyslexic children become better spellers, because you teach them how to make the picture of the word and in different colors. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. But what I'm getting at is we don't always all do the same thing every single time, except when there's a strategy that is successful. And a successful strategy is a spelling strategy, obviously. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we capture the people that filter things differently. So in other words, and I'm going to talk about this later, and I've actually got an exercise. I call it VAK, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. And when you speak to an audience, or anybody for that matter, you don't know specifically how people are filtering the information that you're giving them. So there may be lots of visual people in the audience that love diagrams. And there may be auditory people in the audience that could close their eyes and just take in everything as if it's a recording. And there may be the people that they get a really good feeling about you, or they don't get a good feeling about you, and you lose them, you know, and they just wander off thinking about their own things. And then there are times that it layers up. You know, you get the person that looks at you and gets a really good feeling. You get a person that looks at you and gets a really bad feeling. A very quick story. When I was much younger, I wanted to do this thing, it's not important, and we had to be trained for a week. So I flew to New York and really excited, and there were 10 of us sitting around this table every day, 9 to 5, we were being trained. And I was always an inquisitive person. So I always at the Q&A, I was like, yeah, I got questions. And the woman that was running it ignored me. Talk about feeling bad and thinking, what's wrong with me? And I was really young and really insecure. So this went on for 5 days, and I thought, oh, yeah, I'm never going to get through this. I'm never going to learn this stuff. I'm never going to be successful at this. Why does this woman hate me so much? And she wouldn't even talk to me socially. She just ignored me. Anyway, long story short, Friday was the last day. She took us all out for a drink. But there were plenty of people. There were like 10 of us, so she was buffered by the other people. But I decided to stay to the bitter end and be the last person there, because I was going to find out why this woman didn't like me. And she had a few glasses of wine, and I had a few glasses of wine, so that really helped oil the machine a little bit. And she finally admitted. I said, look, I know you don't like me, but what did I do? What was it about? What is it about me? She said, it's really embarrassing, but my husband left me the weekend before the course, and you look just like the woman he left me for. Now, what can I do about that? Not a lot. But, you know, what I'm saying is, the point of that is you don't always know why people like or dislike you. You can't waste your time on it, because it could be something so random like that, you know, that you remind them of a teacher they hated, or a teacher that embarrassed them, or whatever. So don't focus on those things. Just lift yourself above it, because if I had to do it again, I would do it very differently. You know, I would just think, well, that's her problem. Whatever it is, it's her problem, and I'm going to get as much out of this as I possibly can. So back to the audience. When you're speaking to an audience, and as I say, we're going to do an exercise with this, but it's a good seed to plant now. You've got to take on board that 1/3, I'm just going to cut this up very easily for us to understand. Let's say 1/3 of your audience goes visual first, so they like the pictures, okay? 1/3 of your audience goes auditory first. They like to listen. They can close their eyes and just sit there and listen, and they take a lot in. And then you've got the 1/3 of the audience that like feels everything, you know? It's like, well, I don't like the way that feels, and I'm making that picture, but it doesn't feel right. You with me? Does this make sense? You've all had this experience. So when you are speaking to people and you're writing your script or your speech or whatever it is so important to take on board all of those 3 major filtering systems and make the words that you are going to use, incorporate those words into it. And as I said, there's an exercise we're going to do, so I'm not going to spend a lot more time on it. But be aware that you don't know your audience, but you do know this much, is that they will predominantly work with 3 filters, and they will be visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Seeing, hearing, and feeling. And if you make sure that you add those words in the words that you're using, then you will be sure to engage your whole audience. And that's where people lose people. Because what they do is they come from their perspective. And I'm a fairly visual person and a kinesthetic person. I'm not great auditorily, and my mother would vouch for that. And I relate very well to pictures. As you notice, I do not a lot, but I do some drawing. And I'm quite a feeling person. I get quite emotional about things. So if I just stuck with that, I would lose all the auditory people in the audience, wouldn't I? So remember, I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. So I've got to go there first and figure out what you guys, or see, you know what I also did? When you sent me back your emails, I figured out what you were, because you told me. It was all there. The words you chose to use to answer the questions informed me as to what representational systems, what filters you use first, or you predominantly use. Does that make sense? Some of you are really feeling people. Some of you are quite visual people. And then some of you are auditory people. So everybody's phone off. Yeah, you've all got your phones off and everything. Just put your feet on the floor like this. Sit back in the chair, and I want you to put your back right up against the chair, okay? Feel that back supporting you there, okay? And I want you all to think about a time that you did a presentation and it did go wrong, okay? I don't care when it was, how long ago it was, but I want you to remember that time when you did a presentation and it did go wrong, okay? Does everybody have one of those? And it could have just been a one-to-one. Mary's saying no? Because they've always gone so well, Mary, huh? No, okay, but maybe you were just talking to a couple people and you started getting that feeling. Can you remember one of those? Does everybody have one? Yeah? Okay. What I want you to do now is I want you to just close your eyes for a second, and I want you to identify where that feeling is in your body and show me with your hand. Okay, I'm waiting until everybody gets there. Isn't this interesting? You're all pretty much in the same place, give or take a few inches, right? Okay, now focusing on that feeling, which way is it moving? And show me with your hand. Is it going like this? Is it going like that? Is it going like that? Is it going like that? Okay. Now I know some of you have done this exercise before, but it's Paul's going like that. It's like there's always one, isn't there? And the thing is that it's always good to revisit these things because we forget about them, and they're such wonderful, powerful, simple exercises, okay? So show me how your movement is going. Get that fear really going, and I want you to get it to go, come on, Mary, you can do it, faster and faster and faster. Felix, which way is yours going, just for the sake of me knowing? Okay? So you're just going around that way, okay? Get it going really fast. And I want you to get, Mary, get that heartbeat going. Yeah, get that heartbeat going. Everybody else get that heartbeat going, because Mary's heart is not the only one that pounds, I'm sure. That's it, okay? And now what I want you to do is I want you to stop with the hand, and I want you to just take the hand out, okay, and look at it. Look at that feeling. Bit of synesthesia here. But look at that feeling, and now reverse it. So whichever way it was going, I want you to just reverse it in the other direction and bring it back in. Bring it back into your chest, your solar plexus, your stomach, wherever. Most of you were around this part of the body, the upper part of the body, okay? And I want you to spin it with your hand in the other direction so you can begin to see it and feel it and maybe even hear it. Okay, now I want you to do it faster and faster and faster. That's it. And I want you to let it spread through the body, okay? And now, whilst you're doing that, I want you to think of a time where you had the giggles. We've all had the giggles, yeah? You know that time in your life where you had the giggles that your face hurts? Go to a place in your childhood, or maybe last week, or maybe yesterday, or maybe you were at a comedy club, yeah? But I want to see it on your face. Genuinely want to see it on your face. I want to see the giggle. I want you to feel that giggle just kind of welling up inside of you and coming out on your lips and coming out on your face, and you're giggling. Maybe you were on a roller coaster. Maybe somebody told you a joke. Maybe somebody tickled you. Anybody here ticklish? They tickled you and you just, oh, Felix, come on, you can let it out. Let it out. And now, as you're spinning that reverse of the bad feeling, we're turning it into a really, really good feeling, and we're adding the giggle to it. That's it. Giggle, giggle, smile. I want you smiling with your eyes, not just with your lips, okay? Because it doesn't look very believable. I want the giggle to come up through your eyes. I don't know if any of you watch America's Next Top Model, where they talk about smizing, I think. Somebody told me, yeah? You're smiling with your eyes, so you don't think you're dead, and I want you to connect those two things. Now let this feeling, you can stop with the hand, but let this feeling now just go through your whole body, right down to the tips of your toes, and up to the top of your head. That's it. And it's creating this wonderful cocoon. And you might even begin to notice that it has a color, yeah? Mine is golden and sparkly, but yours can be whatever you want it to be, or whatever you're feeling it to be, yeah? And it's enveloping you from top to bottom. You can feel it right down to your fingertips. It's as if your blood has been transferred with whatever this color, syrupy, lovely, happy, giggly feeling that you have. That's it. And I want you to remember this feeling. Remember it, because you're going to come back to this again and again and again. And breathe into it. Take a really nice deep breath now and breathe into this. That's it. and feel that coursing through your body. It's energizing you. It's going right up into your brain and opening up your brain and letting all of those wonderful things come out. I don't know if any of you saw a film recently. It was about a man who took a drug, and the drug, he got to use 100% of his brain, and he could just process things just like that. It was amazing. I'd love to have, I can't think of the name of the film at the moment, but I know somebody's going to help me out because it begins with an I, but there you go. Anyway,
Limitless.
this is, what, pardon?
Limitless.
Not an I now, thank you. Limitless. His ability was limitless. And he took this pill, and instead of using 20% of his brain, as most of us do, he used 100% of his brain. And all these great feelings he had, and he could process information so quickly. So I want you to imagine you're this guy, and this drug is legal, and it doesn't do anything harmful to you. Yeah, wouldn't that be excellent? I've got a few in my bag over there, I'll give you later. That's it, that's the giggle I want. And you're all going to take this, and magically your brain is going to open up, and all of those memories and all of those things that you've learned are going to come back to you, and you're never ever going to the land of lost words again, right? Because you've got all these words. They're there already. You've got all of these resources. And now what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to think of that scenario that you had a little while ago about things not going well, about your public speaking not going well, about your talking to somebody not going well. And what I want you to do is I want you to go all the way back to the beginning of it, yeah? Get right to the beginning of when it happened. And then I want you to go to a minute before the beginning of that, okay? So you're in that place where you feel very safe, very calm, very secure, just before you had to do whatever it was that made you feel really uncomfortable. Is everybody there? Just give me a nod, okay? Because I want you to be in that safe place, that place just before whatever it is that happened. Excellent. And now what we're going to do is we're going to run the film. And imagine you're sitting in the audience. There you are. I don't know about you, but I love to have some popcorn when I'm at a film. Drives everybody crazy, I'm sure. But there I am sitting with my popcorn. There you are sitting with whatever you have, and you're watching this film. And there you are in the film, and you step into that moment, that minute just after you felt safe, into this not very safe place. This place where maybe your heart is beating really loudly, and your throat is drying up, and your hands are perspiring. I'm not going to tell you anymore, because you know what that place feels like, okay? And you're sitting there, and you're watching yourself going through this film, and it's becoming more and more and more intense. And you're not enjoying it at all. But you're watching it. You're not in it. You're just watching it. And you see yourself get to the end. And maybe at the end, it didn't end very well. Maybe you're lying on the floor prostrate and just thinking, oh my God, I really don't want to do that again. I never want to do that again. And there you are at the end of that film. And I want you to stop that film, okay? And I want you to take all the color and the sound out of that film. It's now black and white, really bland, not a lot of emotion in it, okay? But this is the really cool part, because now what you're going to do is you're going to float up outside of the seat, but one of you is still there, so I'm going to clone you, all right? So clone number one is still sitting in the seat with popcorn, Coca-Cola, whatever it is. And clone number two is going to now drift up into where the projector is in the cinema. That's it. So you're up there with the projector, and you're actually now watching yourself sitting in the front row of the cinema, watching yourself in the film. Pretty cool, eh? So you're not really in it, you're just watching it. And you know what you're going to notice? You're going to notice how ridiculous this all is. But to make it even more ridiculous, we're going to run it backwards. We're going to run it in reverse. Okay, so now you're watching yourself, watch yourself in the film. And we're at the end of the film, and all the color and all the feeling has come out of it. But we're going to run it backwards. And we're going to run it backwards very quickly. And you know when you see a film run backwards, it looks really silly, it looks really ridiculous. Like, okay, you're walking backwards, you're talking backwards, your gestures are backwards. You're almost tripping because you're going backwards. Now see yourself going backwards really quickly, really, really quickly, and I want to get you right to the beginning of the film. And when you get to the beginning of the film, I want to take you that minute before where you go to that safe place, yeah? And everybody give me a nod when you get there. That's it. Okay. Now we're magically going to jump to the end of the film again. But this time, the film is almost gray, grainy. You can't really see very much of it at all. And there you are standing there. But you're going to go backwards again, right to the beginning of the film. You know that circus music? We're going to add that to it. So in your mind, just play that music very fast, sort of like the Keystone Cops or Laurel and Hardy or whoever you can think of. Maybe a funny cartoon where you're going backwards, 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 and all the emotion is going out of it. You know, you're wondering why you ever felt this way. And you're sitting in the audience looking at yourself, laughing. Remember that giggle? Remember that giggle that you found earlier? You're laughing. And you're up in the projector box and you're laughing at yourself, watching yourself, laughing at yourself, because you're walking backwards, you're talking backwards. It's all very ridiculous, isn't it? Now you're back at the beginning of the film, and I want to take you to the minute before it started, where you're now in a safe place. And in that safe place, you've got the giggles, and it's in full color. And you can smell a wonderful smell and taste a wonderful taste even, and you just feel really, really good because you're in that cocoon. Remember that cocoon where all of this wonderful liquid was just coursing through your body. But I'm not finished yet. We really want to get rid of this. So now we're going to jump to the end of the film. In the film, you can hardly see it anymore, okay? But we're going to walk backwards again. And this time we're going to do it twice as fast as we did it before. And I'm going to give you some music. I can't sing. I am terrible at this. But yeah, you got the message. Backwards, backwards, backwards. Reverse it, reverse it, reverse it. Right to the beginning. Quick, quick, quick. Do it again. Jump to the end. Come back quickly again to the beginning. Go to that safe place. That's it. You're in that safe place. And you look at that and you think, why did that ever bother me? How come that ever bothered me? It's so ridiculous. It's such a simple thing to do when you know how to do it. And guess what? You all have the resources right now, right here in this room to do it. But you were just letting something get in your way. And now we've seen how ridiculous that something is that got in your way. And from this moment on, you are going to be much more relaxed, comfortable, and confident about standing on the stage. And you know your brain and your mouth and everything just dried up. Well, guess what? It's all been lubricated again. And now what I want you to do is I want you to look forward. Imagine that you have a timeline in front of you that goes forward, but I want you to tilt it up just a little bit because I want you to have a really, really bright future. And look at that timeline. And I want you to see yourself in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year, whenever that next, and you know what? We present all the time, don't we? We're presenting to people all the time. When we ask them to turn the heat up a bit and the cold down, we're presenting to them. We're presenting our opinion. We're presenting to them a request. And it's how we do it, and that's the results that we get based on how we do it, right? So I want you to now look into the future, in the next hour, in the next day, in the next month, and I want you to see how differently you can present yourself. And this is a really wonderful exercise. Some of you probably saw me do it before, but see, the thing is this, as you probably have heard, we have two sides of the brain, the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere. Again, some of us predominantly go to one side, we're much more logical, we go to that side, we're much more creative, we go to that side. Predominantly, that doesn't mean forever. But these types of exercises make you use both hemispheres and stimulates the brain and opens it up a bit more, and it really does work, right? So what you do is this, you do right hand to left knee, left hand to right knee, right hand to left foot, and left hand to right foot. Got it? It's a little dance here. Okay, I'll do it one more time, and then we're going to do it rhythmically. Okay, so it's like this, and like this, and like this, and like this. Can everybody see? You all got it? Okay. So we're going to do 10 of those, and I'll count you in. I mean, I'll count you through it. So it's 1, 2, fun, isn't it? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Well done. A round of applause. Yeah, give yourselves a round of applause. And what it does, it really wakes you up. It really does kind of wake you up. It wakes up the brain. I'm telling you all the reasons why I'm doing things, which I shouldn't be. You can sit down now. That's great. Excellent. If there are no other questions, we're going to break for lunch. We have an hour. So if you could all be back here at 2 o'clock. Not too sleepy, so don't have too big of a lunch, okay? And I'll introduce you to Natasha properly. You already know a little bit about her. And then at the second half of the day, we're going to do, well, I'm not going to tell you exactly what we're going to do, but I'm really going to start layering up the tips and putting them in a pattern so that, and you're going to do them with me. Okay, you're going to actually get up and do them with me. Yeah? Does that sound good? Yeah. And have a great lunch. I'll see you in about an hour. Thank you.